Welcome to Sarah Wood's Tale, where stories comes alive. Please do well to hit that subscription button and turn on your notification bell for subsequent stories. Grace wiped the sweat from her forehead as she stepped into their small, one-bedroom apartment. She had just returned from her second job, exhausted but relieved that she had managed to bring home enough groceries for the week. The apartment was dimly lit, the air filled with the faint scent of fried onions from their last meal. Daniel sat on the old, worn-out couch, his laptop resting on his knees. His face was tense, eyes scanning the screen, frustration evident in his furrowed brows. He barely looked up when Grace walked in. "Hey, babe," Grace greeted, forcing a smile despite her exhaustion. "Did you eat?" Daniel let out a heavy sigh and shook his head. "No, I wasn't hungry. I've been trying to get this proposal done, but nothing seems to be working. It's like no matter how hard I try, no one wants to give me a chance." Grace placed the groceries on the small wooden table and walked over to him, gently massaging his shoulders. "You'll get there, Daniel. I know it's tough now, but I believe in you. You have great ideas. Someone will see that soon." Daniel leaned back into her touch, his body relaxing slightly. "I don't know, Grace. It's been years. I'm tired of living like this. I'm tired of watching you work yourself to the bone just to keep us afloat. This isn't fair to you." She knelt beside him, taking his hands in hers. "We are a team, remember? Your dream is my dream too. I know you're trying, and I don't mind holding things down until things turn around." He looked at her, admiration flickering in his tired eyes. "What did I do to deserve you?" She grinned. "You make me laugh, and you have the best smile. And even when you're frustrated, I know your heart is in the right place." Daniel chuckled softly. "You always know what to say." "That's my job," she said playfully, getting up. "Now, let me make you something to eat. You need your energy for all these proposals you're sending out." As Grace bustled in the kitchen, Daniel watched her, guilt gnawing at him. She deserved more than this life of constant struggle. He had to make something work, no matter what. It had been a long day at work for Grace, but she still made sure to pick up Daniel's favorite snacks on her way home. She had gotten used to coming home to see him buried in work, his determination unshaken despite the rejections. But that evening, something was different. She stepped into the apartment to find Daniel pacing back and forth, phone in hand. His eyes lit up the moment he saw her. "Grace," he nearly shouted, rushing to her and grabbing her hands. "They called me. The investors called me. They loved my pitch." Grace's eyes widened. "Wait, what? You mean, you got the deal?" "Yes. They want to meet with me next week to finalize the contract." "Grace, this could change everything." Tears welled in her eyes as she threw her arms around him. "Oh my God, Daniel. I knew it. I knew this day would come. I am so proud of you." Daniel held her tight, his heart pounding in excitement. "I couldn't have done this without you, Grace. All those nights you stayed up with me, all those times you encouraged me when I wanted to give up, it's all because of you." She pulled back, wiping her eyes. "No, Daniel, this is because of your hard work. I just stood by your side like any woman in love would." He cupped her face, looking into her eyes with deep gratitude. "And that's exactly why I'll make sure you never have to struggle again. Our lives are about to change, Grace." She smiled, her heart swelling with happiness. For the first time in a long time, hope felt tangible. They had endured so much, but finally, the storm seemed to be clearing. That evening, they sat together, dreaming of what their future could look like. "What's the first thing you'll do when the money comes in?" Grace asked, leaning her head against his shoulder. Daniel exhaled, thinking. "First, I'm getting us out of this tiny apartment. You deserve a beautiful home, Grace." She chuckled. "I wouldn't mind a place where the roof doesn't leak when it rains." "Exactly," Daniel agreed. "And then, I want to take you on a vacation. Somewhere beautiful, just you and me, no worries." "That sounds amazing," she whispered, closing her eyes. "Just promise me one thing." "Anything. No matter how much success comes, promise me you'll stay the Daniel I fell in love with. The one who never gives up, the one with the kindest heart." Daniel kissed her forehead. "I promise, Grace. Nothing will change who I am." And at that moment, she believed him. Success brought many things, money, recognition, and opportunities, but it also brought distance. At first, Grace didn't notice the small shifts. Daniel was busier, constantly in meetings, and traveling frequently. She told herself it was normal, that he was working hard to secure their future. But soon, the changes became too obvious to ignore. One evening, Grace set the dinner table, eagerly waiting for Daniel. He had promised to be home early, but as the clock ticked past 10, she sighed. Just as she reached for her phone to call him, the front door opened. "Daniel, you're home late again," she said, relief and frustration mixing in her voice. "Yeah, sorry. Things ran over," he muttered, barely glancing at her as he walked past. Grace frowned, noticing his designer suit and the faint scent of expensive cologne. "You're dressing differently these days," she observed. Daniel shrugged. "I have to keep up with my new image. Investors and clients expect a certain standard." She bit her lip. "I just feel like we don't talk anymore. You barely have time for me." He sighed. "Grace, you know I'm doing this for us. Why are you making this an issue?" She looked down, hurt. "I just miss you, that's all." Daniel kissed her forehead absent-mindedly. "We'll talk later, okay? I need to rest." Grace watched him walk away, feeling an unfamiliar coldness creeping in. Daniel attended an exclusive networking event, where he met Jessica, a woman who exuded wealth and confidence. Dressed in a sleek red gown, she carried herself with effortless grace. "You must be the famous Daniel," she said, offering her hand. "I've heard a lot about you." Daniel smirked. "All good things, I hope." She laughed. "Only the best. A man like you needs a woman who understands the world of power and success." Daniel hesitated, but Jessica leaned in, whispering, "You've outgrown your past, Daniel. Maybe it's time to embrace the future." And just like that, a dangerous seed was planted. Grace sensed a change in Daniel. He was always busy with work, avoiding conversations, spending less time at home. When she kissed him, he barely kissed back. When she spoke, his responses were distant. One evening, while cleaning, her phone buzzed. It was Daniel's laptop, still logged into his messages. A name caught her eye, Jessica. Hesitantly, she clicked it. Flirty messages, late-night meetings, whispered promises. Her stomach twisted. When Daniel came home, she confronted him. "Who is Jessica?" He stiffened. "She's a business associate. Stop overthinking." Tears welled in her eyes, but she forced a smile. "I trust you, Daniel." One day, Daniel packed his things. "I've bought a new place," he said. "I need space." Grace's heart shattered. "You're leaving me." "It's not like that. I need to focus." Days later, headlines blared. Daniel Johnson engaged to socialite Jessica. Grace held her chest, feeling a pain she never imagined. Even now, she hoped he'd return. Grace sat in her tiny, one-room apartment, staring blankly at the cracked ceiling. The place smelled of dampness and forgotten dreams. She had lost everything: her relationship, her home, her identity. The woman who had once carried Daniel's dreams on her back now struggled to carry herself out of bed. Her phone buzzed on the rickety bedside table. It was a message from an old friend, Lisa. "Grace, I haven't heard from you in weeks. Are you okay? Please let's meet." Grace hesitated before typing, "I'm fine." But she wasn't. She had sacrificed her career to support Daniel's ambitions, and now, she had nothing. No savings. No job. No love. Days turned into weeks, and slowly, with Lisa's help, she started to rebuild. She applied for small jobs, picked up old skills, and eventually began freelancing. It wasn't much, but it was hers. One evening, she stood in front of the mirror. The woman staring back was not the broken version she had been weeks ago. She was still healing, but she was no longer drowning. Daniel leaned back in his designer chair, sipping an expensive whiskey in his grand mansion. Jessica walked in, dressed in a silk robe, scrolling through her phone. "Babe," he said, reaching for her. "Come here." She barely looked up. "I have plans tonight. Don't wait up." Daniel frowned. "Again? Where are you always going?" Jessica smirked. "Oh, Daniel. You didn't think you were the only man in my life, did you?" His heart stopped. "What are you saying?" She shrugged. "You were fun while it lasted. But let's be honest, your bank account isn't what it used to be. And I have expensive tastes." Daniel's blood ran cold. "After everything I gave you, you're leaving me." Jessica chuckled. "Leaving? Oh, sweetheart, I already left. I've just been waiting for the right time." That night, she walked out, and for the first time in years, Daniel felt what Grace must have felt: abandoned, betrayed, lost. Days later, his empire crumbled. Bad investments, reckless spending, and now, no Jessica. The lavish life he built collapsed around him. He was alone, and the only person who had ever truly loved him was gone. Daniel stood outside the tall glass doors, his hands trembling. He had rehearsed this moment 100 times, but now that he was here, he wasn't sure if he had the courage to go inside. The building was elegant, with a golden sign that read, Grace Holdings Incorporated. He took a deep breath and pushed the door open. The receptionist, a well-dressed young woman, gave him a polite but indifferent look. "How can I help you, sir?" I need to see Grace. Grace Mitchell. Please, just tell her it's Daniel." The woman typed something on her computer, then picked up the phone. After a brief conversation, she hung up and looked at him. "She will see you now. Top floor." His heart pounded as he stepped into the elevator. When the doors opened, he saw her, sitting behind a massive desk, dressed in a sleek power suit, looking more beautiful than he had ever seen her. "Daniel," Grace said, her voice calm but unreadable. "To what do I owe the pleasure?" Daniel swallowed hard. "Grace, I made a mistake. I was a fool. I lost everything. Jessica left me, my business crumbled, and I realized too late what I had." Grace leaned back in her chair. "And what exactly do you want from me, Daniel?" she asked, tilting her head. "A second chance," he whispered. "I miss you. I miss us." She sighed and stood up, walking to the window. "Daniel, I spent years breaking myself for you. I gave up everything to lift you up. And when you had everything, you left me in the dust. I was blind, Grace. I didn't see what I had until it was gone." She turned to face him, a sad smile on her lips. "I'm happy you finally see it. But Daniel, I've moved on. I am not the woman you left behind." He felt his heart shatter. "So, there's no chance." She shook her head gently. "No, Daniel, there's no chance. I wish you well, but I will never go back." Months later, Daniel sat alone in his tiny rented apartment, flipping through TV channels mindlessly. Then, he froze. On the screen was a glamorous event, reporters surrounding a stunning woman, Grace. She was radiant, standing beside a man who held her hand proudly. The reporter spoke excitedly. "Grace Mitchell, CEO of Grace Holdings Incorporated, is here tonight with her fiancé, Richard Lawson. Grace, how does it feel to be one of the most influential businesswomen in the country?" Grace smiled. "It's been a long journey, but I'm grateful for every step. And having someone like Richard by my side makes it even better." Daniel's throat tightened as he watched her laugh, truly happy. He had once been the man beside her. But now, he was just a spectator, watching the woman he once abandoned rise far beyond his reach. Tears burned his eyes as he turned off the TV. He had lost her forever, and he had no one to blame but himself. The end. Please don't forget to hit the like button, comment and subscribe to get more interesting stories like this.